take a small break for questions, and then we can proceed ahead. Yeah, so there have been certain questions which I tried to answer, and uh, yes, but there was one question where somebody asked to explain azimuth properly, right? And in fact, I repeated it in the slides ahead, and you must have realized. So the basic idea is in the alt azimuth system, you take the zenith point, you take the great point, the point right overhead, and for any object you draw a great circle and meet the horizon. And the angle which you measure above the horizon gives you the yeah, so right. And for the second, so altitude is the angle above the horizon. Horizon is the place where the celestial sphere appears to meet the this or the ground on which we are standing. The other point is we take the north point, the direction of north, and measure the angle in the horizon, which gives you the azimuthal angle, right? Another question which was asked was, how do we locate the first point of Aries? It was asked that the ecliptic and the celestial equator intersect at 2 points, which is correct. One point is the first point of Aries or the vernal equinox, and the other point is called the autumnal equinox. Okay, so how do we know it? Its first point of Aries itself indicates that it should be in the direction of Aries, yeah. But due to the precession of Earth, this first point of Aries is now shifted into the Pisces constellation, right? So if you know where the Pisces is, you can find out the position of the first point of Aries. Though it is now in Pisces, but it's still called the first point of Aries. Or one good way of knowing is on 21st March, the sun lies in the vernal equinox, in the first point of Aries. So if you know the location where the sun lies around 21st March, you get the point, the vernal equinox. And the other side, which is September 21st or 22nd, this fluctuates every year, gives you the autumnal equinox. Yeah, and in my presentation, I made a mistake. I please correct it. I said right ascension changes during the day. No, what I wanted to say was the hour angle changes. Right ascension and declination remain the same for an object. They change over large periods of time because of the proper motion and the precision of what which mentioned. I wanted to say our angle keeps changing as time progresses, not the right ascension, right? So please make a correction to that. Somebody pointed out, and I'm thankful for that. Uh, there's a question by Sahil Johar. He says, so does it mean that if sun rises today at 5 a.m., then after 30 days it will rise at 7 a.m.? No. See, this 4 minutes, I said stars rise 4 minutes early every day. Stars, not the sun and the moon. Sun and moon are pretty much close to us. Their motion hence makes a difference, right? While stars, even if they are moving, they are at tremendous distances which we don't perceive. So that 4 minutes difference of everyday difference is with the stars, not with the sun, right? So uh, that probably answers Sahil's question. Yeah. Uh, uh, Subhashish Das asks, if possible, ma'am, so give some reference for detailed study of geometry. Yeah, one very good reference is uh, textbook of spherical astronomy by Smart. Astronomy. by Smart. It's a old book and it's a very good book. It's a gospel. There are two books by Smart. One is textbook of spherical astronomy. Other one is spherical astronomy. They're two titles sounding very similar. And other than that, we can also provide you some simple notes and certain important points. I will make it available on our website. Shashank asking, does this 4 minutes difference occur with distant planets like Neptune? Even planets like Neptune are relatively close to us, right? So this 4 minutes difference doesn't occur with these planets because they themselves are moving, and since they are not too far, we do perceive uh, a difference in their rising and setting, not probably day to day, but over a month you will see the difference, right? So this 4 minutes difference doesn't go for planets. It just goes for stars which are very far from us. If you could, Rohit asks, if you could tell us, could let us know what software to be downloaded and which version of it is to be downloaded. Yeah, so now after we stop with these question and answer sessions, we will show you one software which is called Stellarium. It is a very good software. It's a free open source software which you can install it on Windows or on Linux, and it creates the sky, an artificial sky. You can set your location, you can set your time, and you can uh, see at what time a certain object is rising or setting. And we will give you a small demonstration of the Stellarium now, right? Once the questions have been dealt with. How much time? Yeah, so I think we have just 20 minutes left. So I will request Dr. Priya Hassan to give a demonstration of the Stellarium. Okay, so Stellarium, yeah. So Priya.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So what we are now planning is that let us try to make this as interactive as possible. 1 minute. Can everybody see the Stellarium screen? Okay. So 1 minute. I'll just share it and. Now how do I? Yeah. So I hope all of you all can see this screen. Yeah. Please mention it in the chat window if you can't see it. But otherwise, I'm sure you can see it. Oh yeah, you can see it. Okay, so this is a software called Stellarium, which is free open source software. So irrespective of whether you are using Windows or Linux or a Mac or whatever you're using, you can download this software. Okay, you can also download similar, so you can download it for your phone also, Android phones, etc. And this is a very good software because basically what it's doing is it's basically going to emulate the whole sky for you, right? So for example, look at, this is our sky over here. So when you install it over here on the top, you'll see that there's a window which is asking you for where is the location. So I'm here in Hyderabad, but here you can put whatever location you have, right? And it will give you the corresponding latitude, longitude, etc., or get the location from the GPS, right? Please everybody be attentive to this because based on this we are going to ask you to send your first homeworks. Okay, we'll be announcing homework today, the first homework. I'll send you all Google Forms in which you will fill and send the homework. Okay, because we need to have it in an organized this thing. So I will by today evening I'll send you all Google Forms where you will enter your thing. So what you do is here you'll put in your location, you put in your date and time. Now you see our time is 2nd of August. The time is 11:12. So here you will, all the timing has been put in. Now I can do is I can put my thing on on this thing. For example, here I have my star, which is the sun. It has not mentioned that it's the sun. You can see, we'll talk about magnitude scales next week. This is the brightness. It's telling you the RA deck. It's telling you also look at these. So when you look now, since you all know what are coordinates, you know which is the RA, which is the deck, okay, for the sun today. We'll talk more in detail about this. Altitude azimuth has been taught to you. So look at this. You have been told the azimuth is 86 degrees, altitude is 73 degrees. So 86 degrees, basically what does that mean? Sir has already explained to you that what is the azimuth angle? Azimuth angle is measured from your north point. So from the north point, you go towards the east, right? This is the east point. So north to pure east would have been 90 degrees. But you can see clearly the sun is here before 90 degrees. And therefore here, if I place my thing on the sun, you can see that my azimuth is 86 degrees, right? It is not exactly at east point. We'll talk about this later, or if you want on my website, I have a zero shadow day thing, which basically shows you that the sun obviously does not rise from the east point every day. And there is stuff about that as to where exactly rises from. So here you can clearly see that the sun, azimuth of the sun is not 90 degrees. If it had risen purely from the east, it would have been 90 degrees, but instead it is 86 degrees azimuth. The altitude is 73 degrees. This is the altitude. Okay. Now we can, if you want, we can also here, I can, where is my thing? I can't see this too well, but here, this is my location. Here is my time. So supposing if I increase my time, let us see how does my, if I go in for 12 o'clock, you can see this was the sun at 11 o'clock. This was the sun at 12 o'clock. I further increase it, you'll see the sun is going further higher. But here you can see what is the altitude of the sun, 77 degrees. Let us just see. At 11 o'clock, the altitude of the sun is 73 degrees. You can see that over here. Move it to 12 o'clock, it is coming to 88 degrees, right? Pretty high. And if I make it exact 12 o'clock also, you can see over here, the sun's altitude is 84 degrees. Here is the altitude. So at pure noon, your sun is not at 90 degrees. It's at zenith. It's not at zenith, right? If it was at zenith, it would have been 90 degrees. So if you want, you can have a look at that zero shadow day video, which is there on the website, which basically explains how does the position of the sun vary, right? So you can see, you can play around with this and see how does the altitude of the sun change. And so this is at this thing. And now you can see at 1 o'clock, the altitude of the sun is 80 degrees, right? Something like this. Okay. So now let's forget about the sun. Let's go to evening. Let's make it night. And now what we're going to talk about is something important in the sense of, you have an option over here also, that here it can actually, you can remove the earth, you know, you can actually put in constellation lines. It will tell you where the constellations are. It will also put in constellation labels. So you can use this very nicely if you want to study the sky, right? If you want to make a good understanding of the sky, right, of the different constellations, you can use Stellarium to do that. And you can actually put constellation art, right, if you want to try to visualize all these things. And so you can see that here you have something called Julian date, right? So when you are basically observing, you, instead of keeping the dates as 2nd of August 2020, we actually measure them in terms of Julian dates. Okay, so that's a different way of just generally mentioning the date, and you can have a look as to how Julian date gets defined. Okay, so you start from a certain epoch and you take this. You can also, let's remove this constellation art, it makes it a little messy. I can have a grid, equatorial grid. What are you doing basically with this equatorial grid? I want to move this a little down. Okay, right. So what you want to do with this equatorial grid is, this is basically showing you the position of this is the pole star, right? So Hyderabad, if you remember, I showed you all this thing. You can see the location. You have the latitude of Hyderabad is 17 degrees, 23 minutes. So therefore, the pole star is at a height of 17 degrees, 23 minutes, right, from here. So this is the thing that I have um, for Hyderabad. So this is the position of your pole star, which is here above the north point, which is here. Now, what I basically want to explain to you today is how would you know what are you going to see in the sky today? So let us go to the east point, right? The east point, and I'm going to go to a special date, which I will show you. And what you need to remember is that you'll have heard about the first point of Aries, right? So the sun is in the first point of Aries on when? On 21st March. That is the day when sun is on the first point of Aries, right? So that means, so let us go to that and we'll just go to the month of March. So the month of March is the third month, March. And let me go to, I will go now to 21st March. So what happens, this is 21st March. And now when I have 21st March, let me, I'll go to the sun. And you can see this is on 21st March, this is the sun, right? So I'm just going to show you this. Look at the RA deck of the sun, right? You can see that the RA deck of the sun is 0 hours, right? So the RA of the sun is exactly at the first point of Aries, hence its right ascension is 0, right? Now what happens is, so this is what is going to happen. What is going to happen is that the sun, I want to change this view. How do I change the view? I want this view changed. Okay. So what you can actually see is that if I increase the time, you can see that at, if I go to midnight, right? Actually, if you actually do it at 0 hours, this is my time. So if I go at 0 hours, the sun has not yet risen, but if we take the sunrise, this is my sunrise. So what you need to remember that on the 21st of March at at midnight, let us go to midnight. Okay, we'll go to midnight. This is an easier way of going to midnight. So what you're seeing at midnight over here, you will have this object which is up over here. This is, let us take the midpoint between the east and the west, right? 1 minute. Here is my east and my west. So if I take the midpoint between the east and the west, you will see that the right ascension is 0 hours, right, at midnight. So what I'm basically trying to say is that if you want to know what is the constellation that is going to be overhead today, right? So what you need to remember is that on 21st of March, the sun is in right ascension 0, right? And therefore at midnight, when the sun is right down, the right ascension of the object overhead is going to be of 12 hours, right? Because the sun has 0, this one will be 12. It's exactly diametrically opposite. So now if you want to calculate what is the object which is going to be overhead today at midnight, right? You know that the RA changes by 24 hours in 12 months. And therefore per month it's going to change by 2 hours, right? So let's count from 21st March, April, May, June, July, August. So let us say 21st August, right? So for 21st August, we have 5 months and 5 into 2 is equal to 10. And therefore, if on the 21st of March, the 12-hour object is going to be overhead at midnight, on the 21st of August, the object at midnight is going to be of 12 hours plus 10, right? Which gives you 22 hours. So on 21st of August, you will actually see, let us make this to August. So on the 21st of August, you will see that the thing between the east-west approximately over here, you can look at the RA, it is showing you 10 hours, right? So at midnight, the object over here is going to be at over here, right? And this is midnight in terms of local time, local sidereal time, okay? So local sidereal time, in your local time, you will see this object is going to be over here in terms of your local time. So I will now pause and now stop with what is going to be the homework. So now, first of all, so it is 2 hours per month, and which actually equates to 4 minutes in a day, right? But we are not on the 21st of August. We are on the 2nd of August. And therefore, from the calculation which we've made, we should actually subtract how much? 4 into how many days? If we are saying 2nd of August, 21st of August is 19 days. So 4 into 19, I have to subtract from the array of the object. So that will actually tell me the array of the object overhead tonight at 12 o'clock, right? Now, so that is what it is with array. With declinations, obviously the issue is what is your latitude, right? Your latitude will define what is the declination of objects that you can observe, right? So for example, if you were standing on the equator where your latitude is 0, then you can observe everything, all declinations from plus 90 to minus 90. You will observe everything, right? But the problem is that if you are at some latitude phi, then you will not observe very southern objects, right? There will be some objects which will absolutely not rise or set for you, right? So what you have to actually see is that in the night, if you are trying to observe, what is the object which you can observe from a given place at a given time, right? This is a very useful thing for you to learn to calculate, right? Because if you are ever writing a proposal to observe with a certain telescope from a certain location, you need to know what are the objects which will be observable in the night, right, from that place, right? So your homework for today will be that I have told you some idea of with Stellarium, how to actually use it, how to see it. I've also told you about arrays and decks. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to calculate for your location, wherever you're located on the earth, right? In the midnight, what will you be able to observe in the night? What range of array and what range of deck will you be able to observe, right? And like I mentioned, this is going to be useful if you ever want to write proposals for telescope time with some this thing. Also, if you want to, for example, you want to observe the comet Neowise, right? How would you know where do you have to observe it from and at what time, right? When you know the array deck of the object, that is the second problem, that if you know the array deck of an object, how can you tell me when can you actually observe this object, right? We are going to count the observation time to be from 6 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock in the morning. Let us assume that the sun sets perfectly at 6 and rises perfectly at 6. So using that, I want you all to calculate this thing. And we'll send you the Google form where you'll have to send your entries in the evening today. But till then, we can now, I'll exit this screen if you want, and we can actually take some questions. Because I'm not very sure how clear all this was to you, right? So please, I'm keeping that on, and you can please ask me if you're listing any questions. Yeah, somebody raised hand. Write your question. Okay. So I need your
Importance of Julian gauge when it comes to observation method.
who asked? Okay, 1 minute. Huh? This admit. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Payal Roy, you've raised your hand, right? So why don't you write your question on the chat screen? Payal Roy, you need to.
Or you can unmute and speak.
Or you can unmute yourself and speak. Would you like to do that? Payal Roy, yeah, okay. So ask to unmute. Payal Roy, you can unmute yourself and speak. You want, you can start video also. Hello, Payal Roy. Can you hear me? Okay. So Sahil is asking, will there be change in astrometric data as time passes? Yes, obviously. See, the ones that where we change in astrometric data a lot is obviously the sun, the moon, the planets, because they are closer to us. With stars, obviously stars do move, and therefore the array and deck of these objects is going to change. But this change in time is very, very small. Okay, so it's very difficult to measure that, but that is very important to measure, because if you want to find out the velocity of objects, right, you will need to know what are their what are their velocities. So we will later on be talking to you all about Gaia. Gaia is an ESA satellite which actually very accurately measures astrometry. By doing that, we mean that it measures the change in position of a star with time. Okay, but this change in position is something very, very small. This is of the order of milli-arc seconds per year or micro-arc seconds per year. So yes, that can be done, and this thing. Okay, Dhyani is asking me which coordinate system is the one which astronomers use the most. Okay, so what astronomers basically use is we use RAN-DEC. RA-DEC is the standard one which we use when we are talking about observations and things like that. But supposing if you are trying to study a set of objects in terms of its behavior in the galaxy, okay, so then you may convert it to galactic coordinates, because then you may want to know whether these objects belong to the disk of the galaxy or the bulge of the galaxy or the halo of the galaxy. So accordingly, you may change your coordinate system depending on your usage. Okay, the alt-azimuth system also, though it is not good in terms of comparing observations, but it also is very useful for people to find things. So for example, if I'm telling you want to look for the comet, right? I clearly tell you, look at the southeast sky, and you can find your southeast sky for India. I tell people, look for the southeast sky and see it somewhere there. And that's easier for you to find. So in principle, I would say that in publications for most things, RA-DEC is used. But if you want to describe observations in terms of the night sky, like I said, for example, the comet, etc., one may use altitude and azimuth. And if you're trying to study in terms of role in the galaxy, right, then you may then you may just directly take the LB, that is the galactic coordinates, right? Yeah, so. Yeah, so there's another question. How does, by Sahil, how does research papers mention the specific RA and this thing? Yeah. So the RA and DEC is defined to be from the first point of Aries. There is no question about that. So you do it in terms of first point of Aries, and you have to specify the epoch, because the first point of Aries itself is moving with time. So earlier papers would have 1950 epoch, right, which does not consider precession. But then if you precess the coordinates, you may do it in terms of the 2000 epoch. So nowadays, the papers you'll find will be in terms of the 2000 epoch. The next epoch, they will be for 2050, right? But that will be, they'll start doing it afterwards, say after 2030. After 10 years, you'd probably then move towards that epoch. Justin Regi is asking, ma'am, why doesn't the sign exactly rise above the east? Okay. So that's a good question. That's basically because of the tilt of the axis, right? We have a tilt of the axis, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the diagram which you do in school about seasons, right? So what you see is that in the northern hemisphere, right, in summer, the axis is pointing towards the sun, but in the southern hemisphere, in winter, in summer, it is pointing away, right? And because of that, the sun is not exactly overhead. So more details about this, you can see it in that Zero Shadow Day lecture, which is there on my website. And you can try it out over there. But you can try it out with Stellarium and actually see which is the point at which the sun rises through different days. Okay, so run it from 21st March today to 21st March next year and see the sunrise point. How does the sunrise point vary through the year? Okay, so you can try that out with Stellarium. Hasibul Hussain says he's done an IISc project where they used RA and DEC in the data set. Do they have software to calculate RA DECs for asteroids? Yeah, they will calculate it for asteroids, but like I said, that for stars, the RA DECs are constant. But if you're doing it for asteroids, then the RA DEC will go on changing. So you will have to use something called an ephemeris, which will tell you how is the RA DEC of this object changing. Basically, because these are objects which are very close to you, and therefore you have to consider their motions, right? So you can do the RA DEC for asteroids, but you'll have to check it for your particular date for which you are counting your observations, right? Srirang Sapate says, can you please explain 2000 epoch in detail? Okay, so the 2000 basically means the year 2000, right? So I hope you're aware that while the Earth has an axis, the axis is actually precessing, right? Precessing is like a top. So that means the direction of the axis changes, okay? And because of that, the position, your RA DECs will change. they change by a very small amount. It's not a large amount. It changes by a very small amount, but it changes. And therefore, we do not measure it separately for every year. We do it for every 50 years. Okay. So in the year 19, so earlier the epoch used to be for 1950, right? Then they started doing it for the epoch 2000, right? That means you process the coordinates for the epoch 2000, and then you process it for the year 2050. So since the amount is very, very small, we don't measure the change every year. We only measure it every 50 years. So 2000 is the year 2000. The next epoch will be 2050, after 50 years. Asibul Hussain is asking the second question. 1 minute, huh? To understand celestial coordinates, what's the best source for the beginner? So there, we'll give you the reference of that book, which is called by Smart, right? And you can actually use the book by Smart. That's an old book, but it's a very good book to explain these coordinates. Another very good way to understand celestial coordinates is just play around with stellarium. See how you actually see the motion of objects on it, right?
Okay, so that is celestial equator. The plane that is perpendicular to the observer to Polaris.
Yeah, so actually celestial equator is just the extension of the Earth's equator. That's it. It's an extension of the Earth's equator.
But my question is, what about if the observer is sitting at a southern hemisphere or at a point in South Pole that he or she might not see the pole star, then how he calibrate
Yeah, so there are other stars in the south. There's the Southern Cross. Okay, there. See, even the Polaris star is not perfectly at the North Pole. It's slightly off the North Pole, right? So similarly, in the southern hemisphere, there are other stars which correspond to the southern pole. So I think it's the Southern Cross. One can exactly check. It is likely. It's not as easy because we are not so familiar with the southern skies. But there are reference stars. So there are reference stars with which you can find the South Pole, okay? And with that you can do it. So you can find that out. Yeah. You can check the names of the stars. You just check the South Polaris. You can check that online, and you can find that out. What is the Southern Polaris star? I'll just now check it, Google it, and check in. Okay. Yeah. Next, anyone else has a question? Yeah, so before we wind up, I just wanted to say a few things about, we are going to even also write down a code of conduct, because what happened today was very unpleasant, that people were scribbling around on the screen, and that's not what we expect. And so we are actually going to check out, there are ways in Zoom through which you can check out who was annotating, etc. And we are going to find that out, and those people will obviously be, we'll check on them and get them out of this group. Because there's no sense of having a person who's sitting and scribbling lines. There's another question over here by Justin. Ma'am, when I was using AstroPy for plotting of Messier 3, was there some sort of conversion for DEC and RA for plotting X? So it depends upon it depends on what were you plotting, Justin. He's asking me that he's using AstroPy to plot Messier 3. Was there some sort of conversion for DEC and RA? I'll need to see your code. I will need to see your code to see what is the range or whatever that you put for it. But in principle, you generally we convert it to the degree scale. You may have it in the sexagesimal or the decimal system. The sexagesimal one is the one which has hours, minutes, seconds. The decimal ones is with degrees. So you obviously, if you have to convert it, please convert it to the decimal system, not the sexagesimal one. I'm not, you need to send me this. If this is in a Jupyter notebook, you need to send me the code so that I can see and I can tell you where the problem was coming, right?
Ma'am, hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I was plotting for it's a cosmic background radiation for that plotting, and they're saying I was using some of tutorial codes. They're converting some of the declination or background, cosmic background radiation.
No, so for cosmic background radiation, obviously RA-DEC does not make any sense, right? Because cosmic background radiation has got nothing to do with RA-DEC. It is a cosmological this thing, right? So in that case, I think best is you just send me the code and I can tell you. But at present, I can't tell you because I don't know what were you trying to plot against what, right? So please send me the code and I can have a look at it, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So we finish? Yeah. Okay, so I see it's already 11:38. We've overshot by 8 minutes, and you want to say something?
Yeah, so let's stop for today. And the people, we will be posting the homework. There were some questions which said they're not very clear about the homework questions. So we'll put up the homework questions on the website.
Hey, I'll put a
And
page called
also-
homework.
Yeah, so there will
Yeah.
be a,
So I'll make a page called homework, and on that homework page, I'll write the date and I'll give you the link to the Google form to the homework for today. Okay.
yeah,
So every Sunday we'll be giving you all the homework, not on Saturday. So you
Right.
can rest on Saturday night. On
Uh,
Sunday you'll get the homework based on the lectures which were held on Saturday and Sunday. Okay.
yeah, so these coordinate systems will come when you start dealing with data. Yeah, the basic purpose of this course is to look at archival data and analyze it. So locations, positions are essential. That will come in the tables which you look at. So that's why we thought it was essential, and you should have it clear. Okay, so we'll stop for today, and all the best.